When we think about the human kingdom, we always have to realize that the human kingdom is that kingdom of nature where we recognize our own duality, and we recognize that there's this soulful quality that is the thing that we are striving to increasingly become and express in our lives. Now, the soul itself in the human kingdom is an individualized entity. As I said, individualization occurs in the human kingdom, and it's the first time where life develops an individual container that begins to facilitate that awareness and begins to store our wisdom. Now, this container is called the causal body, and there's a couple aspects to this causal body that's important. It is said to be the container that is holding the wisdom that we each garner over thousands of incarnations. And it's also said to be an instrument that holds a kind of pristine type of love, a really lofty kind of love, almost Christ-like or Buddha-like. And that this causal body is holding that which we typically call soul consciousness. And that causal body is what's moving from one incarnation to the next incarnation. So when we talk about reincarnation, we're really talking about the movement of the causal body from one life to the next to the next. And it's evolving. The causal body is evolving. You know, we talk about the evolution of consciousness, but really, from a technical perspective, it's the evolution of the consciousness of the causal body that's evolving.
Our true home, though temporary and lasting for millions of years, is the causal body or the egoic lotus. And this is created leading up to the process of individualization when an animal man becomes an individualized human being. So from the causal body or egoic lotus, all of our incarnated life is directed. The structure of the causal body is a magnificent thing. In the beginning, it's just a small, colorless bud. It is conceived as a bud without radiation, with different potencies overlaid upon each other. But as time passes, like a flower, its various petals unfold, and with the unfoldment of those distinctly different petals, new faculties arise, and new potentials arise for the incarnating being. If we do our work here in the outer world, we always bring something back to the treasury. The causal body is the treasury of all our finest qualities, which are transmuted from our outer experience into inner faculty. The causal body or egoic lotus of a highly developed person looks like a full-blown flower, and Master DK tells us it's shot through with all kinds of colors, with certain colors predominating, is of a great radiation, has a great circulation of energies, is a beautiful thing to behold, and eventually revealing the very central jewel in the lotus of one of 7 different colors, depending on the monadic ray. So the whole thing is a work of art, interior, on the higher mental plane. And we are busy unfolding this life after life as we descend into incarnation and reascend.
Sometimes people think that the soul is perfect, and it is perfect in one way, but not in another. The soul is perfect as a potentiality, as a fixed design, but it's imperfect in its capacity to express that fixed design through the personality without distortion. That's what the evolution of consciousness is. It's the incremental actualization of the soul's potential through form. And it takes many, many incarnations for that to be successfully achieved. So always think of the evolution of consciousness as really rooted in the evolution and development of the causal body and its consciousness.
The incarnational process is not simply rotary. There's always a cycle or a spiral involved. So spiral cyclic motion is the kind of motion of our development. And always we are adding to the potency, to the beauty, to the faculty of the causal body based upon our experience here in incarnation. We are working in the quarries, the dense quarries of lower life, and we're supposed to bring something of value back to the treasury. We could look at it in terms of mineral terms, that's one way of thinking about that, which is of value. But what we're really doing is we're developing new faculties which are forever stored in our inner radiant temple. So life after life, we are meant to ascend, manifest soul potency with ever greater power, beauty, effectiveness, love, intelligence, and sometimes, it's like an asymptotic curve. Let's just say that our early lives hug very close to the x-axis. But in later lives, there's a rapid ascent along the y-axis, and we make progress rapidly. People who are studying the ageless wisdom should be making rapid, conscious progress because they've studied their astrology, they've studied their rheology, they know what they're doing here in life, they know their insufficiencies, they know what they have to build in, they know what karma they have to face, they know what new capacities they have to build. So evolution takes on a conscious method of development, rather than just sort of blundering along one thing after another, guided by one's impulses, or as the Tibetan says, being driven up and down the land. In fact, we can make choices, and Saturn gives us the power of choice, and when we make choices properly, we really build the causal body consciously and make very rapid evolutionary progress. Why? For ourselves? The purpose is, rather, to be a serving unit and give all you have for the elevation of others, which is the surest way of developing yourself as well. So it's a great and beautiful process, and we are now awakening to its potentials, especially as humanity approaches the first initiation.
A person's level of spiritual development is always reflected in the structures in their subtle body. These structures in the subtle body are the reflection of our individuality, of our consciousness. It is a reflection of what we take with us from one lifetime, one incarnation to the next. So within this particular structure, we can, through initiation practices, actually develop the structuring of the subtle body that will allow us to move from one incarnation to the next and not lose the skills that we gained in the previous incarnation. For example, the great Greek Christian Hermetic master known as Daskalos, who could dematerialize and rematerialize bodies in healing, or who could speak all the languages he knew in previous incarnations. He could speak and write fluent Sanskrit and ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs and all types of things, but he never learned them in the current lifetime. He could also do fully conscious out-of-body travel, and while out of the body, manifest an etheric hand into space from the astral body to manipulate physical matter. Very advanced Greek Christian Hermetic master. He was asked once, "How is it that you have these incredible powers?" He said, "Because of the initiation practices I did in a previous lifetime. That created a particular structure in my subtle bodies that allows me to not lose the knowledge and the awareness of it from one incarnation to the next." So it's through understanding the geometry of spirit that spiritual traditions can allow us to develop ourselves to a higher level to which we can become this type of high initiate.